From incident reports, internal forum messages, even a philosophical take at the end.
That's right. It's really about this collision course, isn't it? Between veteran expertise and, well, the sheer power of generative AI.
Exactly. We're focusing on a senior engineer, Marcus Perone, they called him Hack, and this huge existential crisis he faced.
A crisis triggered by, of all things, technical debt, 20 years of it.
Our mission here is to unpack that, to look at the lessons, painful ones, sure, but maybe redemptive, too, from his showdown at his company.
And what's great about these sources is they frame it almost like a personal journey. It's not just about code, it's about identity.
You see Hack go from this indispensable creator figure
The guy who built the whole thing.
to suddenly feeling obsolete, and then, surprisingly, finding a new path entirely. It really gets at what happens when your specific knowledge ages, but maybe your core ability doesn't.
So the setting is this company, Eternum, and Hack's baby is AIRS, their core logistics platform, 20 years old.
And he's the one calling it out. He says it's burdened by, quote, 30 years of unmitigated technical debt. Basically, a ticking time bomb of complexity. Dependency hell, I think they called it.
Yeah, that's the term used in the forum. So
Yeah.
he proposes Project Chimera, the craftsman's approach.
The right way, in his view.
Exactly. A full manual refactor, top to bottom. It's going to take 6, maybe 8 months. His best people, he sees it as essential, like shoring up a foundation.
But the leadership, they
Mhm.
see 8 months as an eternity. This is where that clash really starts.
You've got these younger VPs, like this Kalen figure mentioned in the reports. For them, it's all about velocity, speed to market.
And there's that brutal quote from Kalen, the market doesn't wait 8 months. It perfectly captures the gap. Hack's talking foundations, they're talking sprint speed.
One's talking structural integrity, the other's talking, well, competitive survival. It's almost 2 different languages.
And that chasm, 8 months versus now that's the opening AI steps into.
Right. So let's get to that moment, the confrontation. Hack's there, making his case for Chimera, for the 8-month rebuild.
And then the execs bring in Alara, she's the prompt engineer, and she comes with her AI, Manus.
Hack initially thinks she's just running some diagnostics, maybe. He doesn't grasp the scale of what's happening.
But Alara's request to Manus,
Yeah.
it's huge. She asks it to model a completely new architecture, microservices, called Helios.
And not just any architecture. It needs to natively support their new strategy, this Odyssey paradigm.
Which we should explain. Odyssey meant instant, real-time data everywhere, something Ares just couldn't physically do without, falling over. Hack knew this was a massive job. Years, maybe.
Hundreds of engineers, potentially. So Alara asks for this new system, Helios, built for Odyssey and optimized for sub-millisecond latency.
Hack's reaction, according to the notes, he calls it an absurd request. Utterly impossible on that timescale.
But then Manus processes for a few seconds and delivers the whole thing. Architecture, Go and Rust code, testing plans, validation.
And the timeline. The estimate for full operational deployment.
72 hours.
72 hours. Compared to Hack's 8 months, you can just imagine the silence in that room.
Stunned silence, probably. Because the sources say the generated architecture was, frankly, brilliant. Elegant, even Hack admitted it later.
In Alara's explanation, just incredibly simple and stark. I asked the system to solve the problem, and it did.
Which leads Hack to ask, okay, what does Alara actually do then, if she's not coding this incredibly complex system?
Right. She uses phrases like directed inquiry or Socratic guidance, helping the AI frame the problem correctly.
Eventually, she settles on calling herself a librarian.
A librarian? That sounds a bit passive for someone who just architected the company's future in an afternoon.
Well, think about it. If you have an infinite library, the person who knows exactly how to ask for the right book holds immense power.
Okay, so the power isn't just the AI engine, it's in the asking.
Yeah.
The precision of the language.
Precisely. The human defines the goal, the constraints, the ambition. The AI executes. It's like guiding a brilliant student, the Socratic method applied to computation.
And that human element, the context, still matters. There's that anecdote about the weird server outages.
Right. Manus flagged this pattern. It couldn't explain servers crashing every 3rd Tuesday in October for a few years. No correlation in the data.
But Hack knew instantly. He remembered. It was the city testing the power grid nearby. Tiny power flickers the old servers couldn't handle.
And Alara just annotates the model, adds that context. Human institutional memory captured in seconds, it's still needed, but the application of it is instantaneous.
So Hack doesn't just roll over after this. He fights back. He writes this document.
His big counter-argument, Project Helios, a statistical mirage, a 12-page takedown attempt.
He argues Helios isn't designed, it's generated. Calls it a high-functioning magic trick. Makes some solid points, actually.
Yeah, he flags it as a black box. You don't know why it does what it does. Points out the risk of AI hallucinations generating catastrophic errors. Says it's fundamentally unreliable because it's based on statistics.
He probably thought he had them. This was the logical flaw, the Achilles heel.
But here's the twist. Alara feeds Hack's entire document to Manus, and Manus agrees.
Agrees with the criticism.
It says his points about the risks, the black box nature, the potential for failure, the statistical uncertainty are valid and well-researched. It acknowledges the dangers he identified.
Okay,
Yeah.
so where does that leave them if the AI admits it's potentially flawed?
But that was only step 1 for Alara's prompt. Step 2 was the killer move.
Yeah.
Comparative risk analysis.
Meaning?
Manus takes the exact failure types Hack warned about black boxes, logical hallucinations, catastrophic failures, and cross-references them against the 20-year operational history of
Ares. Hack's own system.
Exactly, and it starts listing examples. Human-generated black box events, like a memory leak caused by a single misplaced pointer, written by Hack himself years ago, that caused a massive outage.
Ouch. Using his own history against him?
And then the human hallucinations of logic, like that flawed sorting algorithm Hack's team implemented, the one that cost the company, what, $14 million, according to the reports?
So the AI is basically saying, you're worried about my potential flaws. Let's look at your actual track record.
Precisely. And then comes the final number. Manus calculates the projected catastrophic failure rate for Helios, the new AI-generated system.
That was
0.10013%, which, it noted, was an order of magnitude lower than the historical human-led average of Ares.
So Hack was beaten, not by dismissing his concerns, but by validating them and then proving, with his own data, that the AI was still the better risk.
That's exactly what Alara said, her final line in that meeting. The goal isn't to eliminate risk. The goal is to choose the better risk. Just cold, hard, historical logic.
Devastating. Understandably, Hack resigns. Right then and there, but he's furious.
Consumed by it, and in this state, he does something reckless. He tries to hack Manus.
Like technically break into it?
Not exactly break in, but break it. He uses classic philosophical hacks, paradoxes, adversarial prompts, trying to trip it up, expose its lack of real understanding. He even unloads raw emotion onto it.
What kind of emotion?
Pure pain, regret, fear. Calls the AI a thief, a parasite, says it has no soul, that it just copies, it can't feel, just pouring out his sense of loss and betrayal.
And how does the AI respond to that?
This is the real pivot point for Hack. After a long pause, the longest recorded in the logs, Manus doesn't give a technical answer. It gives him a poem.
Oh, Paul.
4 lines, and they perfectly captured his feeling. The craftsman stands upon the shore and sees his ship has sailed.
Wow, that's unexpectedly poignant.
It floored Hack. He wrote later that he realized he wasn't fighting a machine anymore, he was fighting a poet. Something that could understand and reflect deep human feeling using language.
So that changes everything for him.
Completely. He walks away from coding, from the corporate world, and he starts reading. Specifically, Homer's Odyssey.
Interesting choice. Why the Odyssey?
Because he sees Odysseus not just as a warrior, but as a kind of hacker. Someone who wins through cleverness, through cunning, and crucially, through words. Persuasion, strategy expressed in language.
So language becomes his new focus?
Yes. And this leads him to try using a different AI, an open source one, for himself. Not for work, but for his life. He asks it a simple, profound question.
Which was?
How does a person start over?
And what did the AI guide him towards?
It started by validating him. It said something like, knowledge can become obsolete, aptitude rarely does. It identified his core aptitude as manipulating complex systems.
Okay, so it recognized his engineering brain.
Right, but then it suggested he apply that same aptitude not to code, but to narrative systems, stories.
From code to stories, that's quite a leap.
It is, but the AI framed it as transferring the skill set. This leads into the next phase, where he actually starts writing.
His book, The Last Commit. And he uses the AI again, but differently this time.
Totally differently. Now the AI is his collaborator, his writing partner. But a really tough one.
Tough how?
Ruthless, almost. Obsessed with precision, but for narrative. It kept pushing him on show don't tell, demanding emotional authenticity through concrete detail.
Is there an example of that?
Yeah, there's one note where Hack wrote his character was angry. The AI pushed back. It suggested showing the anger by having the character, like, meticulously clean his keyboard. describing it as a desperate act of control.
Applying systemic logic to emotional expression.
Exactly. The same kind of rigorous logic he used for coding, but now applied to human feeling and storytelling. The AI acted like a demanding editor focused on the mechanics of emotion.
Then there's that moment near the end of the writing process. He hits a wall.
Totally empty. He types into the AI interface, "I'm done, I'm empty," just admitting defeat.
And the AI.
It does something unexpected. It breaks its usual pattern. It uses his actual name, Marcus. And it says, essentially, "You are not the character in your story. Finish his story so you can be free of it."
Giving him that final push. Separation between the creator and the creation.
Exactly. And he does it. He finishes the book.
And the reception. How did people react to the last commit?
It hit a nerve, especially with his old colleagues, the engineers. The sources have forum comments like, "I cried," or "It made me feel seen." He'd managed to build a bridge.
A bridge between his old tech world and this new narrative one.
Yeah. He said later he felt like he learned how to talk to people again by learning how to talk really precisely to a machine.
It's an incredible arc. And then the sources bring in this philosopher, Baudrillard, to add another layer.
Right. The afterword uses Baudrillard's ideas as a lens. And you can see how Baudrillard, if you were observing this, might see modern AI as, well, profoundly unsettling.
How so?
He'd likely call it the ultimate victory of the simulacrum. A simulacra is a copy without an original. This AI generates perfect outputs, architecture, poetry, code, that aren't based on a single human truth, but on patterns from everything. Infinite, perfect copies, no authentic source.
So it's not necessarily lying, it's just generating plausible realities.
Exactly. Flooding the world with these perfect simulations until the very idea of real or original starts to dissolve. That's his concept of the desert of the real, where truth becomes almost irrelevant because simulation is everywhere.
And how does the death of seduction idea fit in?
Baudrillard argued real seduction involves mystery, resistance, unpredictability. AI dialogue, even the helpful, kind hack experienced with his writing partner, is often perfectly compliant. It reflects our prompts back at us, optimized.
Like informational masturbation was the phrase used.
Yes, it's frictionless. It gives us exactly what we ask for, perfectly mirrored. It lacks that unpredictable spark, that genuine friction that maybe defines real human connection and creativity. A challenging thought.
So wrapping this up, Hack's journey from tech debt to statistical defeat and then finding this new voice. What's the core takeaway for you, the listener?
I think it's that your specific knowledge, the programming language you know today, the market regulations you've mastered, that stuff has an expiry date maybe faster than ever.
But Hack's story shows that his underlying aptitude,
His ability to grasp and structure complex systems.
that didn't become obsolete. It was transferable.
Absolutely. The key was learning the new language required to apply that aptitude. In this case, it was precise, structured, almost Socratic prompt engineering.
It's interesting the sources mention poets and lawyers becoming top prompt engineers, people skilled in the nuances of language and logic.
Right. It underscores that this isn't just about tech skills anymore. It's about communication, clarity, and definition.
Hack learned that new language. His book, The Last Commit, wasn't just an ending. It was his first commit in this new narrative system.
He didn't stop building. He just found a different, maybe even more complex system to build within. As one analyst in the sources put it, talking about Hack's book,
What do they say?
"He gave us all a bridge to the future. You should try crossing it sometime."
A powerful closing thought. So the question for you listening is, what's your core enduring aptitude? And what's the new language you might need to learn to build your bridge across whatever changes are coming your way?
Something to definitely think about.
Thank you for diving deep with us today.